Well, a very good morning. Thanks for clicking on to the Sunday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Lots of talk about a colder winter once again. In fact, a similar winter to 09-10, and I have given my reasons why I don't believe that's going to be the case. However, I'm not ruling out winter overall across the United States and indeed the UK. But we are going to need to see changes taking place in particularly the sea surface temperature profile across the globe in order to see some winter, particularly across western parts of Europe this upcoming year. Sea surface temperature anomalies look like this at the moment. We've got a cold North Atlantic, a warm PDO, very warm PDO in fact, across the Pacific, the El Nino being strong at this time, warm water off the west coast and also up into the Gulf of Alaska. But that overall profile to me would support a rather cool mixed uh, at times mild winter across the UK, something similar to what we've seen last year. I don't think it would be quite as bad as the previous year where it wasn't much of a winter, but it was in fact very stormy. But one thing I'm wanting to really look at here, this is crucial, is the behavior of the change over the next, say, 4 to 8 weeks. We are seeing some form of cooling in the areas of the Pacific that is warmest at the moment. That is important to see if you want a colder winter here across the UK and Western Europe. We're also starting to see changes where it's getting a touch warmer in the very areas that the Atlantic is coolest at the moment. We're seeing warming over the west northwest part of the Atlantic here, and that would indicate if we can get warmer than normal water into the Davis Straits, into the North Atlantic, this would in turn support stronger than normal heights over Greenland, over the North Atlantic, and supporting below normal heights rather than above normal heights around the UK come the winter season. So something similar to the type of water temperature profile that was seen back in 09-10. The primary reason why I don't think we're going to see an 09-10 winter, and by that I mean the longevity of that winter. It was cold and snowy throughout the period, generally from December right through till March. We had spells of mild in between, but the cold and the snow just continued to keep coming back, and therefore we had the coldest winter across the UK since 78, 79. I don't think it's going to be that kind of brutal, long-lived winter that was seen back then. However, it doesn't mean that we can't get significant wind, rain, snow, cold during the winter season this year. When you've got these solar cycles where you're in between the maximum and the minimum, you can get extremes, but I just don't think we're going to see a sustained cold winter and the severity of 09-10. That was an exception, and I do think that we could go back to that, but once the cycle enters the minimum once again, like we've seen back in 09-10. The El Nino looks to go into the more central Pacific position come the winter months. This is off the Met Office, something I haven't shown you up until now, but this is the December through February period. It shows the colder North Atlantic, warmer Northwest Atlantic, and also, of course, like I say, the warmest water. Yeah, it's warmer than normal up against the South American coast, but the core of that warmth is further west. That could be crucial in terms of the positioning of the ridges and the troughs further north. What I am curious about though is, does that warm water up into the Davis Straits around much of Greenland, with the exceptions of the south coast, to the north of Iceland, north of Scandinavia, does this promote blocking high pressure that would support the trough, the cold underneath? That's the big question. The Met Office model looks like this for the December-February period at the sea surface or the sea level pressure. And you can see here it's indicating the opposite of the last couple of years. It's showing a stronger Aleutian low, and when you get a strong Aleutian low, you tend to have a stronger Icelandic high. In recent years, we've had a strong Aleutian high and a strong Icelandic low in response. One tends to counteract the other. And this year, the Met Office model, at the moment, this is of course only September, it's showing stronger than normal heights up across Iceland, extending into Greenland. That would support colder here across the UK. This is the 500 millibar height anomalies. It's got strong heights over Canada, Greenland, and below normal heights extending from Europe westwards into the UK. So that has a similar look to 0910, that's for sure. This would certainly be very interesting. 2 meter temperature anomalies look like this for the same period. Colder than normal extended from south of Iceland into the UK and Ireland here. It has a warm-ish look to the continent of Europe overall, but the Met Office model is indicating a colder than normal winter across the UK. Precipitation wise, drier than normal where the heights are strongest, and of course wet across the southern half of the United States, into the Caribbean, and also across the southern UK into Europe here. So that's quite interesting. The Jamstec is very similar, with a colder than normal look across much of Europe, in fact, but also across the UK and Ireland here. I'm not ruling out a cold winter, folks, but at this moment in time, I think we've got something similar to last year, where we had significant spells of snow and cold, but also mild in between that, and probably more dominant than the cold and the snow. But there's a lot of things that I'm looking at the moment, folks. I've learned a lot from my mistakes in the past, leaving no stone unturned, because I've done that in the past and it's come back to bite me in the backside. I'm really doing my best here to try and get this forecast right. This is the toughest winter forecast so far since I started seasonal forecast back in 2009, and I'm wanting to try and get this one right. But there's a lot of things open to question at this moment in time. We can't rule anything out, but keep checking back here, and I'll keep you posted as best I can. Do check out the written post for more information on today's video. Bye for now.